Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Tokyo for the 15th India Japan Annual Summit has underlined the deep strategic and economic partnership between the two nations. From investment targets to security cooperation and technology collaboration, the agenda reflects shared ambitions for growth and stability in Asia. To talk more on this, I have Ms. Sugna Ramamurthy, Secretary General of Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry with me. Thank you for joining me, ma'am. Let's dive into the question. Prime Minister Modi announced a target of 10 trillion yen investment from Japan into India over the next decade. So how realistic is this target, and do you think it is possible?
Thank you, Nisha. Thanks for inviting me. It's a very good question. I understand from some grapevine sources that this particular target, about say 5 trillion yen, is somewhere closer. So by 2026, they might be in a position to reach out a closer number to that. But I cannot reveal certain sources, so I'm keeping it to myself. And in the last 2 years, Nisha, we have seen the country witnessing good inflows from Japan and tremendous projects from Japanese and private agencies. I can quote many projects for that matter. Like, for example, let me give you a couple of examples. The Suzuki Motor, which is going to manufacture cars for Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia, is a very welcome point. Then the steel plants, that the Nippon steel plant is going to be put up in Andhra Pradesh and in Gujarat. Then the Toyota Kirloskar expansion plan in Karnataka. Then, of course, in Maharashtra again, a greenfield project which is coming up. Then the Sumitomo Realty is getting into, Indian real estate. Then the JFE Steel, that is going to have about 445 billion rupee to strengthen the steel production is very good news. And more interestingly, the Sojitz Corporation, which is focusing on rural India in terms of giving clean energy, is coming up with the $395 million project, and that is expected to be functional in 2027. So imagine when all these things come in line, I'm sure we will be able to do better and better. And the Make in India, which is conceived by our Prime Minister, is now being recoined into Make for the World. So the vision is so beautifully envisaged, and I'm sure the day is not far off, and the dream is going to come true. So it's an
The
optimistic
bilateral
target, I would say.
Okay. The bilateral trade between India and Japan stood at $22.8 billion in the financial year 2023 to 2024, with Japanese imports outweighing Indian exports. So Modi has pitched India as the quote springboard for Japanese business to the global south unquote. Now, what structural changes are needed for India to bridge this trade imbalance and position itself as a true hub for Japanese firms?
Yeah, Nisha, I think it has to be perceived in the right sense. Mr. Modi said, requested rather, Japan to use India as a springboard to enter into the global south. So the question of trade imbalance, the current trade imbalance doesn't really arise. India and Japan will together address the global requirement, is what I perceive.
Okay.
For example, see, India's infrastructure is improving tremendously, be it road, rail, or sea for that matter. It's catching up so fast, and people do understand what they expect from India. So that way we are growing. Technologically also India is doing very well. Infrastructure wise, we are doing very well. So, together India and Japan can access the global market is what I feel. And that is how you must understand Mr. Modi's words.
Okay. So growing together with Japan.
Yes. For
Okay.
global requirement.
Got it. So, from defense dialogues to the 2+2 ministerial meetings, India and Japan have built a strong security framework. So, Modi also has reaffirmed commitment to a free and rules based Indo Pacific. So, can India Japan security cooperation act as a credible counterweight in the Indo Pacific?
It's a very good question. Only time should answer. One thing I would like you to know, I would like the viewers to know, the strategic relationship between India and Japan is happening steadily and beautifully, progressively. If I can say, the Quad network was framed in 2007, and since then, there has been tremendous activities in this particular area. The Indo-Pacific is a vast marine space connecting Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. The stability, peace is not only important for India and Japan, but to all nations in the region. When I say all nations in the region, it means the South Asia, the East Asia, the Southeast Asia, Australia, and parts of America, Africa, parts of Africa contribute to this. So, necessarily, all the nations in this particular region, Indo Pacific line, will have to cooperate with the so called leaders, I quote India and Japan. You have no choice. You better cooperate for not just for India, Japan, but for your own, in your own interest, you have to cooperate with India and Japan.
Okay. So, how do you see the India Japan bilateral relationship evolving in the near future, in your own words?
Yes, Vishal. See, diplomacy is a slow process. The strong foundation is already laid by our great people. The Buddhism has contributed to a great extent in the 6th century. But in the last 10 years, the diplomacy between India and Japan has really proved worth. The key role played by India and Japan is appreciated globally. And the fruits of diplomacy will now work out beautifully, especially when I say that India-Japan bilateral relations, started in 2000. Okay, then this bilateral relations elevated into a global partnership in the year 2000. Slowly and steadily, it turned out to be strategic and global partnership in 2006. Further, it has enhanced into special strategic and global partnership in the year 2014. So there has been a steady and slow progress. You only look at these titles, but the kind of activities that is going on between the two countries, be it defense alignment or security challenges that the two countries are facing, for Indo-Pacific peace, etc., is really admirable. And if the diplomatic relationship is not being maintained to this extent, you think the metro rail and the Shinkansen rail that is going to work out between Mumbai and Ahmedabad is going to be possible? You must appreciate the Japanese who have come up. Normally, they are so finicky about the technology transfer. But believe me, in 2030, we are going to have E10 Shinkansen that is going to be upgraded and run in Japan. Simultaneously, our country will also benefit from the same technology and the same Shinkansen train. These are things that we enjoy out of the fruits of diplomacy. And I'm sure, slowly and steadily, it will take us to the next higher level. And when I say that India and Japan will play the leaders in Asia, it's going to be really happening. And that all the nations are looking at us to see how this relationship is going to go forward. And I'm very confident that it is happening beautifully, especially in the last 10 years. The diplomatic relations between India and Japan sees all-round growth between India and Japan, and more particularly to India. The fruits is being really enjoyed by India in terms of infrastructure, in terms of ODA, in terms of technology. Now Prime Minister Modi is in Japan for talks with the Prime Minister. He is visiting Sendai to see the semiconductor plant. I'm sure by now he would have been already there. So, these are things that, are happening thanks to the high level of diplomatic relations between India and Japan. Now, as you would definitely accept that highly technologically advanced country is Japan. And that when they are willing to share their technology for the growth of India, it is something that is laudable, and we should thank our Prime Minister for taking this beautiful step. That is what I would say. We have to wait and see how still he takes the relationship forward.
As you rightly concluded, we have to wait and see how this evolves in the near future. Thank you for your time, ma'am. Viewers, for